everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to Y&R Chat. Today we are talking about one of the most unforgettable and unresolved characters on The Young and the Restless, Drucilla Winters. Drucilla was emotional and intelligent and volatile and just real. Let me tell you, her choice of lipstick shades and funky hats had me captivated throughout the 90s and through the early 2000s too. But it was her death in 2007 that became one of Y&R's most controversial storylines, and it is still very much hotly debated among Y&R fans today. Imagine that. Why? Well, because the first rule of soap opera is no body, not dead. Young Drew was streetwise and sassy, but she was illiterate. She met the man who would become her mentor, Nathan Hastings, and Nathan would go on to teach her how to read in this really wonderful and topical literacy storyline that Y&R had back in those days. And it was that literacy storyline, and it was Nathan Hastings who gave Drucilla's character stability for the first time. And that really set the stage for Drew's future, because it established Drew as a character who was capable of growth, who was capable of resilience, and who was capable of transformation. Drucilla met the love of her life, Neil Winters, while she was working in the mailroom at Newman Enterprises. But over time, she rose to a position of prominence within Genoa City, eventually becoming a very successful high fashion model. And I think that fans really connected with Drucilla so deeply because they were there to experience her rise from being an outsider to becoming an insider. She had 2 beautiful weddings to Neil and a beautiful honeymoon in Antigua. Maybe you remember it. And Drucilla and Neil went on to become one of the show's most iconic couples, with one of the most memorable and enduring love stories of all time. But Drew was also the mother of one of Y&R's longest running Who the Baby Daddy storylines. One night, Drucilla took some cold medicine, and Malcom, Neil's brother, took advantage. Creep. Yes, for one foggy night, Drew thought that Malcom was Neil, and Lily Winters was conceived. For 11 years, Y&R held off on a paternity test. 11 years. It wasn't until 2006 that it was revealed that Malcom was actually Lily's biological father. Neil had raised her all that time as his own. 11 years later, that paternity twist was revealed, and only about 1 year after that, Drew fell off a cliff and never crawled back up. One bright and sunny April day in 2007, I know you remember this, at an on-location photo shoot for Beauty of Nature, Sharon and Phyllis had a convenient cliffside argument. Drew stepped in to break up the fight. 2 went over the cliff, and only 1 stayed up. Sharon was found alive. She was rescued, but Drucilla was never found. She was, and is still, presumed dead. Okay, so Drucilla was presumed dead, but she was never confirmed dead, and there's a difference. There was no body. There was no funeral. There wasn't any public memorial. There was no single moment where the community of Genoa City stopped, gathered, and mourned her. Neil and Lily just grieved her death privately. Devon, Drew's adopted son, just kind of absorbed it. And Olivia, Drew's own sister, never had an on-screen goodbye. Drew's disappearance was just folded into the storylines of the day, and the show just moved on the way it always does. And because the characters never got real closure, that means that the fans didn't get real closure either. I talk to Y&R fans, both new and old, every single week for the past 20 years. And the topic that comes up over and over again is Drucilla Winters really dead? Viewers are unresolved and divided. There's a lot of arguments among the fans on this topic. Some fans accepted Drew's death as final. That's it. She's gone. Done. But then other fans saw the death as open-ended. I mean, her body was never recovered. There was no physical proof of death. And, let's be real, even if there was physical proof of death, every good soap fan knows that death is only temporary. So why did Victoria Rowell leave The Young and the Restless? She played the role of Drucilla Winters for 17 years. And she wasn't fired. She was simply written out. After leaving the show, Victoria Rowell spoke publicly about Y&R's lack of diversity behind the scenes, saying that she felt that she had to write her own scripts, create her own material in order to feel creatively comfortable. But it's clear that Victoria Rowell never truly viewed her character as truly dead. In fact, what she said was, Drew will probably be hanging off the side of that cliff for the next 30 years. Well, we're about 2 decades into that prediction, and so far, it's been true. Victoria Rowell did return to The Young and the Restless in 2019 for the Christoph St. John Neil Winters tribute episode. Even though she was not in character, this was the first time that she ever appeared back on the Y&R screen since Drew's fall. And even now, decades later, Y&R fans are still constantly predicting that Drucilla will return to Genoa City someday. And it's not entirely out of the question. Soaps bring back characters from the dead all the time. And it really doesn't matter how much time has passed. Drew's daughter's paternity storyline was left unresolved for 11 years before being revealed. So Drew's fate could easily go either way. She could remain unresolved, or she could very well show up on someone's doorstep someday. Amnesia, anyone? Drucilla's death still matters and is still talked about so much among the fans, also because Drew's death permanently changed the Winters family dynamic. Neil never had a partner who even came close to the love story that he shared with Drucilla. Olivia slowly drifted away from Genoa City after that. She was drifting away already at that point. But Lily and Devon lost their mother, who was such a force of nature in their lives. And Sharon lost a really great friendship that I enjoyed, and that, frankly, Sharon has just never been able to regain. Then there's Mamie and Nathan. They were both gone by then. So when Drew died, the entire Winters family just never felt the same. Would you want a Drucilla Winters return from the dead story someday? Now, it's your turn to chat. What do you think about all of this? Drucilla Barber Winters, dead or not dead? And would you like to see her return from the dead? Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. I've enjoyed making it for you and discussing these classic characters. And I will be back again with more. I love you guys. See you next time. Bye.